It happened quickly and abruptly, not entirely out of nowhere, but we are now officially into a new phase of the housing market here in New Jersey. All the signs were pointing us in this direction. And we started seeing a cooling off in other parts of the country, but it had been business as usual, basically up until about 2 weeks ago. There is a very clear cooling of the housing market. So we're going to talk about exactly what changed so rapidly that led us to this. And then we'll also talk about, if you're a buyer or seller, what does this mean in reality? Not news headlines, but in reality, what you should expect if you are going to be buying or selling. My name is Justin Braverman. I'm an agent with the HBB Realty Group, which is brokered by eXp Realty. And we're going to take a look at those things right now. So what changed so quickly, right? So I think a lot of this started with May inflation numbers being released in the early part of the month, where inflation had increased at 8.6% since the start of the year. That's an insane number, the likes of which we haven't seen in 40 years. The cost of just everyday goods are just absolutely exploding. So in what the Federal Reserve really had no choice but to do was to increase interest rates by 3/4 of a point to help slow down how money is being spent. And what this does for mortgages, it basically brought the mortgage rate up for a 30-year fixed rate loan to about 6%. That's double where we were from a year ago. So this is a significant move, the biggest move that the Fed has made. And what comes with these, the inflation and interest rates? Well, a lot of negative headlines, which will eat into the buyer's psyche on how they're spending money, where they're spending money, and what kind of risk they can now tolerate. And I think of one specific headline, which was from Jamie Dimon, the CEO of JP Morgan, who said that the United States would be entering into some sort of economic hurricane over the next year or so. And I don't even really know what that means, but it sounds scary. So when you start looking at these numbers and all the headlines that can make you go crazy, if you're a buyer, you have no choice but to reassess how you're going to spend money and where you're going to spend money. So these things happened over the span of about 3 or 4 days. And somewhere around June 9th or 10th, things changed. There was a definitive change. I started feeling it with my clients, buyers and sellers alike. My colleagues are saying the same thing. And there is a clear difference right now versus what it was like 2 weeks ago, essentially. So if you're a buyer or seller, the question is, well, what do you do? What is this going to mean for you? And there's a few points that I want to make to help separate what the headlines are going to say versus what the truth might actually look like for you. The first point is that the housing market is not going to dry up. It is going to remain very competitive because there are so many buyers who are backlogged from this extreme seller's market that we had been in for the past 2 years. Okay, so what I would say and what I have felt firsthand is that if a home is appropriately priced and in a desirable area, it's going to sell in the first weekend. That's not going to change. Is it going to receive 15 or 20 offers? No, it won't anymore. I think those days are basically behind us, except for maybe some unusual circumstances. I think it's more realistic that maybe we're seeing 2 to 4 offers on a home now because buyers have no choice but to reassess what their financial standing now is. Maybe they're leaving the housing market entirely. Maybe they're putting it on pause. Maybe they're going to rent. Maybe they're moving to a lower price point. It doesn't matter. There's just a very different feel now, and this is going to change things. So if you're a buyer, you got to look at it like this. The cost of your mortgage is going to be more than maybe what you thought it would be. However, there's now real opportunity because the number of buyers who left the market, it's real. So like we said, if there's not 15 or 20 offers, which is going to be tough for you to get an offer accepted, could you hang tough in 2 to 4 with the right guidance? Absolutely. So there's a lot of opportunity here if you are a buyer and you have control of your finances. You know exactly what you can do. And if you're a seller, like we said, if the home is appropriately priced in a good area, well marketed, you will still sell it in the first weekend. It's not, you haven't missed any boat yet. It's just that the number of offers will be less. The days of highest and best may actually be coming to a close. And thank God, I don't think anybody wants that anymore. So if you're a seller, you are still in very good shape right now if you do things the right way. You have not missed the boat. That's the bottom line. So that's number one. Number two, home values will continue to increase. There is no bubble at this point. We're not going backwards. Will the rate of appreciation slow down? Absolutely. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are predicting that through the balance of the end of this year, we're still going to increase overall home values by 10.8%. And then in 2023, increase slower, but still 3.2%. So home values are going to continue to increase. And why is this? Because inventory still remains very, very low. As long as the number of buyers are out there who are motivated and able to, and inventory remains low, home prices are going to continue to increase. So it will be slower, but it's going to continue to increase. And that is predicted through the end of 2023. The last point is that inflation has caused interest rates to basically go to 6% for a 30-year fixed, and they may go higher. And we're probably going to be here for at least until 2024. That's what most forecasts are saying. And the reason being is that inflation takes a pretty long time to back off. That's number one. And number two, 2024 is an election year. And historically speaking, in presidential election years, interest rates will be cut as a political mechanism. Doesn't matter what party you are, it's irrelevant, but that is a mechanism to keep voters a little happier, right? So you can expect interest rates to remain basically where they are for the next, call it 18 to 24 months. But then again, we don't know what's around the bend. The world is a crazy place right now, so it is a little bit unpredictable, but that's what most forecasts are calling for. So the bottom line here is that we have entered into a new housing market. If you're a buyer, you have lots of opportunity right now. Do not be afraid. If you've been shut out, there is opportunity that we have not seen since before the pandemic. If you are a seller, you have not missed the boat. There's still plenty of time to get your home on the market and still receive multiple offers on it. That's still to be expected. So the reality is we are now in this new housing market. It is a more balanced market. Although things are tumultuous right now, it has created more balance. And listen, that's a good thing, because what we had seen for the past 2 years was out of control. And this is going to bring a little bit more opportunity to motivated buyers and sellers as well. So it's been great talking to you, and we'll catch up again soon.